Hi, I'm Jeff Gianola. In my report, The City That Doesn't Work, I took a hard look at Portland's form of city government, asking the question, is it time we change our form of government? Well, that's exactly the subject of the report just released by the City Club of Portland. We had the opportunity to talk to Amanda Manjarrez. Now, she was part of the review committee that helped put this report together. Take a look.
So the question was really looking at how does our commission form of government equitably represent the citizens of Portland or the residents of Portland? Does it do that? If it doesn't, what's the best form of government for Portlanders? Second, we looked at how we actually choose our elected representatives. And so equity was a huge part of that process. And so at the beginning, we decided to really dive a little deeper into coming up with a lens that we would use to apply to both our commission form of government, but also the at-large system that we have. The commission form of government is really linked to an at-large voting structure. And part of that is if we were to break it up so that commissioners were representing different parts of the city, and let's say we have a person representing the west side and they're responsible for the Parks Bureau, then all the best parks would be on the west side. So those really go hand in hand. But in our system, we have commissioners who are responsible for administrative functions. They're overseeing these really large bureaus, multiple bureaus sometimes, and then the mayor can just switch that around. So that's interesting in itself. They have these legislative functions, and so they're policymakers, they're voting on policies and budgets, and should be representing the people of Portland. They also have this quasi-judicial function in land use issues, which is also pretty unique. So we looked at that system. We also looked at the at-large voting structure. And when I describe at-large voting to folks, it's usually, essentially every eligible voter in the city of Portland is voting on each of these commissioners. Another way to look at that is that the white political majority gets to elect every position on the city council. So if equity is our guiding light in this, that's concerning. And going back to our equity lens and looking at the first question, of does it lead to diverse candidates? Does it lead to a diverse council? It fails on every measure. I have an election background and was shocked to find that we had an at-large voting model in Portland when I first moved here. And part of that is because these have been struck down around the country. Our recommendation is that we move to a council manager system and essentially have somebody who's responsible for administering the bureaus, really serving an executive function with oversight from the mayor and the council. So in that system, the mayor would actually appoint that city manager, would go through the whole hiring process, and that person would be approved by the council. And so we're recommending that. We also are recommending that we expand the council. And so we thought that at least 8 might be a good number. Our recommendation is that we move from an at-large voting model to a district-based model. We're actually looking at an option where we might actually draw larger districts in certain areas and have multiple members representing those districts. This is essentially a first set of recommendations. It's not perfect, as I mentioned. The City Club is going to be hosting a forum on Tuesday, February 12th, where they're going to be releasing and launching the report. And so they'll have a period of time where they can review and adopt it as an official position for City Club. The city is also due to pull together a charter review commission that happens every 10 years. We also hope that it potentially inspires future ballot measures. We could potentially end up in a situation where we have one of the most equitable structures in the country, and I think, if Portland is looking to be weird in a sense or unique, I would rather us go that route.
So if you have a chance, please read through the report that's now at coin.com. And to put it in perspective, you can also look at my report, The City That Doesn't Work.